Welcome, everybody, to Casting for Two, the podcast, as always, hosted by yours truly, Chris. Welcome, everybody. This is episode number 255, getting close to the month of July, which means 5 years of doing the podcast. Very excited for that. Of course, if you would like to keep in contact with me, my Twitter and Instagram is the place to go. Ramble Jam, which is the other podcast that I do with ConCal's own Josh Silverman. That's available every Wednesday at 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern on mixer.com/ConCal. Yeah, that's it. So today's a great episode. I got a good episode for you. I got a great set of filmmakers. I interviewed Heather Provost and Scott Damian, and they're filmmakers who did this movie called Racing Colt, and it's out in LA today, as well as going to be made available on Amazon Video, which I would recommend people check out. But just a lovely pair of people. I just gotta say, Scott and Heather were an absolute delight to talk to. I had so much fun picking their brains, just because I very rarely get to talk to a group of collaborating filmmakers, and this was just so much fun. So much fun. But once again, Racing Cult is out in LA right now. And as well as Amazon Video. So I think everyone should go check. I know I'm going to check that out. But yeah, I guess I should stop talking and let's actually get into this episode, right? We should listen. All right. I'm done taking up time. So sit back, relax, and Chris, cue the music, please.
Great.
Whoa, we needed prep for us.
Yeah, that's right. You need to prep. Did you do like presses and lunges?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
You're in Texas, right, Craig?
That is correct. Yes, San Antonio.
We just wrote a movie about Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it where? What? No spoilers, of course. But what?
No.
What part of Texas?
Well, it's a made-up town. It's for Hallmark. We made a.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's
okay.
About the fantastic barbecue in Texas.
That's right. Cool.
Gotcha. Okay. What is? I'm just so curious. What was your process of making up a Texas town name?
Well, when I was a kid, my parents loved old country music like George Jones, Willie Nelson, Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
They had on their 8-tracks and tape players. I'm really aging myself, but anyway, so there was so many names that these country artists made up, and we just bounced around an idea, and then we came up with it and asked Hallmark, what do you think about this name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. It's always fascinating when you're trying to create a character, and it's just like, well, I guess we got to name him. You just can't have boy or girl or anything like that. And then the idea of naming a character, it's just like, how do you pick how do you find the right name for somebody?
Yeah, it's funny that you even say that. We'll start one place and then just end somewhere else with a completely different name. Scott will make fun of me a little bit because I like to, with our male characters, we'll take my favorite Dodgers, for example. I'm a big Dodgers fan, and kind of combine their names.
Yeah.
Like a last name and a first name with someone, or any other, sports. I'm a big sports fan, so we'll like take names of my favorite athletes and things like that, and put them, smush them together.
Yeah. And sometimes we draw from family names as well as
yeah.
Yeah.
as a
Little
nod
shout
to
out.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll do little shout outs for our family and loved ones too as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. You see, I'm kind of in a similar boat, except I use superheroes.
Ah, I love that.
Really?
I'll use their actual, their secret identity names,
Oh.
and then I'll just like, okay, he'll be Billy, this will be whatever, and then I'll create a name.
That's
But there's always that weird part where you create a name for your character, you fall in love with the character, you meet with an actor who could be perfect, and you're just staring at him like, well, that's not a John. You don't look like a John.
Right.
It's so true. Name's a validation of what the character is in many aspects, and it becomes personal because after rewrites and writing, that name becomes a person that you know,
Yep.
and you have a picture, and then when you meet them, it's like a first blind date. You meet the actor actress, and you're like, oh no.
Even a lot during, I think, our writing process, the more that we get to know the characters, we're like, oh, she is not a so-and-so.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They
No.
speak different, like a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you know what, I get it. It makes total sense to me. So if you were like, you don't look like a Chris, I'd be like, okay, I feel like one. But one thing I'd like to ask you guys, when did you guys know that film was something you wanted to pursue?
I think, I think that's an individual answer, but take a stab at it first. When I was a kid, I was a horrible stutterer. I stuttered for about almost 20 years of my life. And storytelling was my way of communicating because when I did accents, I never stuttered. So I would watch like James Bond movies and Return of the Jedi and Indiana Jones, and I'd go home and I'd mimic them. And I found storytelling was a gateway to becoming part of a story that was bigger than me. And that gave me a purpose. And as a young kid growing up in New Orleans, I would, there's so many personalities around me that I have stories about them. And I kind of gave up on it for a little while because I pursued acting. And then I picked up the pen about 10 years ago, and that's when Heather and I started really working together and developing stuff because I lost that love. I didn't lose that love, but I lost the avenue I wanted to take with storytelling. Heather?
Oh, I think I've always been fascinated with film. I know that in third grade, I made my first claymation film
Okay.
about Cyclops. I was very into mythology, and I made a Cyclops claymation film. And then I kind of, as I got older, I went more down the theater path, and I was producing theater in New York, and then I had a year where it was just I had lost my father. It was just a bad year for me. Needed to kind of just make a big shift, and I said, you know what? Now I want to make movies now, and came back out to LA and decided to really throw my focus into filmmaking. And Scott and I had reconnected after a lot of years. We had met doing a live show out in Los Angeles many years ago, and we reconnected, and we kind of just got on the same page, and it was like, okay, well, let's really take a stab at this then and make a go for it.
No,
because that's one of the nice things about just Hollywood in general is that people create these bonds, these creative bonds together that are pretty tight when working with each other, and so it's cool to hear that you guys have a good connection as far as creatively. Was it easy to get into that kind of mode?
Yeah, I think trust had a lot to do with it because I trusted Heather's opinion and her because Heather and I look at things differently. Of course, I'm a woman, I'm a guy, so we'll look at things differently, and I trust her whether something bumps her or not, I'll go, oh yeah, you're right. Let's look at that again. I think trust has to do with it. A lot of trust, because filmmaking's like war, not war between us, but war against getting a certain mission done. And,
right.
And you have to bond, and you're in the trenches. You're like doing 12 hours of of filming, and then you have to go over the shots for the next day, and then so there's a trust in the trenches. You know, it's trial by fire, and and it brings you closer.
Yeah, and I think that we trust each other creatively. You know, and I think that's very important. There's so many times, you know, if you're working with people, you don't feel comfortable leaving the room. You know what I mean?
Right.
You're like, oh God, I don't know what decisions are going to be made. Oh, and I found, you know, that with both of us, we feel comfortable leaving the room with the other kind of, you know, running whatever is happening at the moment. So.
Nice. And have you ever had those moments of like, Scott, you'll leave the room, Heather, you're writing an entire third act with a Cyclops? There's been nothing like that.
I can't tell you. Well, that's the name of our tech, Cyclops, Texas. So.
Oh, okay. There we go.
So there you go. Yeah, I mean, you know, when Heather's like taking care, like when Heather has to take care of a contract, or an actor comes and he or she is having a problem, and Heather has to talk with one of our producers, you know, she can leave the room and trust me, and then but we'll show in playback what we did, and vice versa, you know. Yeah.
Nice. Good. And so, and I'm curious, what is your guys' writing process like?
That's a good question.
Whiskey.
Okay. Yes.
No, we it, you know, it varies. Like Heather will have an idea, and I'll have an idea, and we'll start with just the impetus of that. Yeah.
Yeah. We just talk it out. Like, well, what if this happened and this happened?
Right.
And we kind of will jot down a ton of notes, kind of developing it, and then, you know, putting together the outline.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like our next two films, like one is based on a play that we developed that we turned into a movie. And that's been like, we know those characters like family because we've been developing for 10 years from play to screenplay. And then, you know, something like our horror film that we have that we're in pre-production for, that in itself was like an idea I had a long time ago, but then it became our story because we expanded the universe, and we expanded the characters. And so
changed endings and a whole bunch of stuff too.
Exactly. So it's never like, well, this was my idea or this was Heather's idea. It becomes our idea because we find something special in that story, and then we go with it. And if it doesn't go anywhere to a certain point, then we'll go, well, maybe we can either change it or we can drop it and move to another story to develop.
Yeah. And, you know, Chris, I think too, it's interesting that we do have a kind of process, but it's almost a different process for each project. Like each project has its own special journey.
It's true.
Right. Yeah.
Is, you know, completely different.
Yeah.
So we get how the other person's brain kind of works within it, and we have, you know, I don't want to say we have like a certain structure, but I think there's part of it that remains the same, but then there's so many aspects that are completely different with every single process.
It's weird because sometimes we'd outline stuff and sometimes we don't outline.
Yeah.
Let's go right into the script because it varies, you know. It really varies on the genre. I think genre is really important. Like we understand certain genres, but when it comes to a genre that we're not used to, we'll outline.
Yeah, kind of map it out.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and put our feet in the water.
Okay. And as people who create these worlds, is it hard for you to look for somebody, either actors, directors, you know, any DOP, anybody like that to bring into your world, knowing that you have to kind of give up a piece of it?
I mean, so where do we begin with that? we kind of keep it really close, Chris. I think, you know, part of the reason why I personally had gotten into, you know, the producing side of everything as well was because I wanted to kind of what was done in the old days. You know, you have your troupe, and you know, Christopher Guest does that.
Yeah,
a few other people do that, and it was really important to us that we kind of operate similarly. I can't even say that anymore. You know, so we have people whose work that we know and whose work that we trust, and that's really important to us. So like introducing new people into that world. I mean, I know I have like trust issues with that, but
yeah, it's personal.
It's tricky, but at the same time, you want to open yourself up to new and exciting things.
What Heather and I love is, especially with each other's collaboration. Like it's all about collaboration because my strengths may not be hers, and her strengths may not be mine, and that expands to DPs and grips and cast and but in particular when we did Racing Colt, which arrives June 22nd on Amazon. We had a 95 pager that we were going to film in 11 days. So we knew that we had to have everything planned out from storyboards to planning out shots, but most importantly, getting the right cast and crew. And we had name actors who submitted for the lead, and we thought about it, but we really went with people whom we knew who had the chops because, Marvel has their special effects, and our special effects are our actors and the performances and the human interaction that we captured. And it was all about collaboration. When one actor said, "Can I change this line?" We went, "Yeah, sure, change it," and it worked better. Or we had
but it's because we have relationships with the people that we used, and we trust those people that when their gut is telling them this might land better, this might be a stronger choice, we say, well, you know what?
Yeah,
it very well could be. Let's take a look at it.
Yeah,
and it's interesting too when Scotty had mentioned, we had names that were interested in a couple of these roles, and it's tough because when you're casting it, you're trying to balance like, okay, is that going to help us in distribution? What's going to outweigh what? And we knew that for our first shot out of the cannon that we really needed to know the talents that were being brought to the table. So.
But also we had two actresses whom we knew, but we never worked with before, Michelle and Bria, and Bria, sorry, Bria, and they just came with guns ablazing, but they also had notes or they had ideas that they were smart to bring up and to decipher. Well, maybe this will sound better. Or can we do this? And we went along with it, and that's what we love. We love bringing new people into our circle as well. Not that we're a cult by any means, but we love people into because it expands our vision and it becomes not just our story, but it becomes everybody's story. And that's what's great about filmmaking is that it's not, we write it, but then it becomes everybody's story.
Yeah, and then everybody's invested in it.
Right. Yeah.
And so I want to backtrack to something you said. You shot a 95-page script in 11 days.
Yep.
Yeah, we sure did.
Did you guys just pass out on the day after the final day?
I don't remember what.
I think we're still recording.
No. We were down, like we were going to post facility houses to get the 4K transported.
Yeah.
To an editing version. So we to editing files. So we were like relentless.
We haven't really come up for air.
Yeah. It's been a 2-year odyssey.
Yeah, it was crazy town, Chris.
Yeah.
Man.
But I mean, great about
exciting
independent
and
filmmaking.
Exhilarating,
Yeah, we learned oh my God, we learned
so much.
Leaps and bounds so much,
Nice.
And I mean, that's what's great about art is that you have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of your box to learn, to find new ideas, and to meet new people. And filmmaking is all about relationships, not only with the text, but with people.
That is actually very definitely 100% true. One thing I want to ask you guys, though, as filmmakers, was there ever, or have you guys ever had a discussion? Because they're in Hollywood, I don't think it's as relevant. Well, maybe it is actually. Film versus digital.
Yeah, I love film. I mean, it was beautiful. It looks great on but film is so expensive.
Yeah.
And when you're dealing with digital, it's you can manipulate it easier and affordable. And I think first-time filmmakers or people coming out of the gate, I think digital's the way to go because film can be quite costly in post. Later on, we would love to do film because of the texture, but it's funny because when we're dealing with like even movie houses or movie theaters, they prefer digital more so than film. So,
Right.
and that's just a sign of the times.
It's just interesting how the landscape is changing.
Yeah, it really is. Now, if you're Tarantino or Spielberg, you can totally say, I'm doing film and you better project film. And AMC will listen wholeheartedly. But
Right.
But when with a David and the Goliath scenario, we really it's smart to go digital. It really is, and you learn a ton, just like you would in film. Yeah.
No, yeah. It's fascinating because one of my first jobs was a projectionist at a theater.
Oh, wow.
So
and I used to build prints of movies.
Oh wow.
And so when they were talking about theaters going digital, I was like, meh, that's no fun.
Right.
Yeah, it was sacrilege.
No, but now years later, I'm like, okay, I just want to watch the movie.
I know, right? Right. And I mean, everything is on your tablet now. Everything's in your hand now, so you don't care if it's film or digital. You just want to see good content.
Now, for the record, I still go to the movie theater because I love the theater going experience.
Yep. Yeah,
and every time I haven't been for a while and I go and I'm like, why am I not here more often?
Yeah. But it's I hope people continue to go to theater because it's an event.
Yep.
Oh,
absolutely. For the people at home who we should talk about Racing Colt. Yeah. What is the movie about?
Well, funny you should ask.
In 3 words.
Oh.
Go see it.
There we go. No, I'm just kidding.
Basically, it's about a personal assistant who struggles to get an aging has-been movie star through this tumultuous shoot. It's like a biopic of Ernest Hemingway, but it's a tumultuous shoot of a highly anticipated film. So it's kind of like
and how the has-been action star and how his behavior is affecting everyone around him.
Yeah, because in today's climate, everyone's is still so interested in what happens behind the scenes, what's behind the velvet rope, and this gives an insight to what happens.
It's not really that pretty.
No, it's not pretty, but there is redemption, and that's what turned us on about this film is that there are redemptive qualities that you take away from it. It's not all bleak. It's not all, but it's
and there's definitely some funny in there,
right?
Mm-hmm. And we hit on a few themes too, and just we throw around words like hero and whatnot so easily these days, and it's just really about like be careful who you kind of bestow that title on. The word hero and what that really actually means.
Right. Because the personal assistant does ask that question during his journey because he can either go down this road with his hero from his childhood, or he can find what a hero is.
Yeah.
And
be his own.
Yeah, and be his own hero. And it just really takes off the tarnish of what we think of these celebrity heroes as, and it's very reflective of today's society, I think, and we're really excited for people to see it and to walk away with different aspects
and walking away with conversation, I think, is super important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and it's just interesting that we as a society view these celebrities as heroes because at the end of the day they're people. They have the same problem. I mean, maybe different level of problems, but ultimately same problems.
Right. Well, the problems are heightened because not only do they have issues, but their issues are
for everyone to see.
Yeah. And fermented in this highly volatile circumstance. of always being on, always delivering, always beating the next guy. And so if you already have problems going in at it, into this world, then it's just going to be heightened even more.
Yeah, just amplify.
Right.
Right. And the question is, how do you deal with it?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Or not.
Or not.
Yeah.
And we truly think that this film doesn't only appeal to people who are in the business, but appeals to people specifically outside of the business. Yeah. And it just pulls that curtain back, and you see the Oz for who he really is, or the Colt for who he really is.
Okay. And for the people at home who want to check out the movie when it's available, also follow you guys and any other projects you have coming out, where can they all do that?
Well, June 22nd, we are opening in theater in Los Angeles. And that same day, we will be premiering on Amazon.
Right.
And about a month or so later, we will start rolling out to all of the other VOD platforms.
Yeah, like to Google, to Google Play, iTunes, Fandango, and all that.
But Amazon will be the place to see it on June 22nd, or Los Angeles if you're local in LA. And they can follow Racing Colt on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm personally on Twitter and Instagram at my handle is PSIRuleHPro.
And she's got
PSIRuleHPro at Twitter and Instagram. And Scott,
I'm at Scotty Damian. Simple as that with the Y. Right. And also the show, the movie is showing at the Arena Cine Lounge in Hollywood. So that'll open there as well with viewing it on Amazon.
Yeah, June 22nd.
So if you love it so much at Arena Cine Lounge, you can go home and watch it on Amazon.
Also, it's racingcolt.com. You can find out everything you need to at racingcolt.com.
Yeah, and also we have a YouTube channel where you can check out all of our content.
And that's all linked at the...
Yeah, and that's also Racing Colt. Yeah, and that's linked on the website.
Nice. So I'm excited to check this out on the 22nd.
Oh,
so
thanks.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah.
But if first of all, Heather Scott, thank you so much for chatting with me. Anytime you want to come back on, just say the word. All right.
Oh, that's very sweet. Thank you so much, Chris.
That.
Thank you, and I'll let you guys go. I try to calm down or more work.
We're going to outline, man.
There we go. Okay, yes, I'll let you guys outline.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.